Hello there everyone, this is Phantom Duos here, and today I'm going to be doing What If Issei Was the King of Seoul. And this is going to be my 300 subscriber special. Well, thank you everybody for getting me to 300 subscribers. Before I start the video, I'm going to explain a few things about this What If. In this What If, there's going to be some characters from the serif at the end, and other things. Issei will not have parents in this one. He'll be living alone with Asia. Yeah, Asia. So he will not know his parents. He'll be adopted by his foster parents, who are the ones in the anime, but then they'll die. So it'll be technically like that, and he'll change sooner or later. I'll make him change. So let's get started. I'm gonna do a quick pause to do something real quick. Sorry about that, guys. I just had to check something. So let's start the what if off. So we're gonna start off where Issei was fighting with Riser. Riser was about to decline Issei's challenge, but until someone said, "I challenge you, Red Dragon Emperor, Issei Hyoto." Then Issei looked up and saw someone with white hair and red eyes. So this is gonna be my own character that I made up. His name is gonna be Ash. I don't have a last name for him, so if you guys want to give him a last name, you can tell me. So yeah, Riser and Rias Barach knew who Ash was, but not Issei. For Riser and Rias, Ash was a high-ranking noble demon. So he was technically more powerful than Riser and Issei. Yeah, let's go like that. Issei just accepted the challenge. Riser was about to decline, but Sir Sex, Ria's brother. If you guys hear that, I'm not usually where I record my videos, so that's why you hear this much noise. Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, Sir Sex said, okay, since all three of you accepted, we're gonna send you to the fighting stand. And if you guys saw those calls, I'm sorry, forget about what you said. I'm sorry about that. Sir Zax sent Issei, Ash, and Riser to the fighting stadium. Issei was the first one to attack Ash. Ash was getting ready to attack Issei. But when Issei was about to attack Ash, he transformed into his male scale dragon form. But when he used it, he felt like he was getting weaker and weaker. When the punch reached Ash, Ash just catch the punch and engulfed his hand and blew fire and punched Issei on the gut, making Issei go unconscious for the whole round. As Rias was disappointed, Riser was laughing and saying, "This Red Dragon Emperor is so weak." But then we keep going after the fight. Then after a few minutes, Ash finished off Riser. Issei woke up and said, "What happened?" Then Issei started to remember what happened to him, as he thought, "Isn't it Rias gonna at least say thank you to me for helping her?" Issei thought Drake was gonna say something to him, but Drake was quiet. Drake just said, "You're weak. You couldn't do anything." As Issei was shocked to hear this from a person who has known Issei for so long. Then as Issei saw Rias walking towards him, but when he thought Rias was gonna yell at him or say something, she just passed straight through him and went towards Ash as she hugged him and said, "Ash, where have you been all these years?" Ash said, "Just getting my training." As we come back to Issei, Issei was really angry at this. She thought that he was at least going to say thank you to him. But he thought wrong. So Issei just went to Ash and said, "Good game," as Ash said, "Yeah, for a weakling like you." When Issei heard this, he was angry, but he just shrugged it off and kept moving. We Then we come back to Rias. Instead of Issei and Rias going on the Griffin, it was Ash and Rias. Issei was sad about this, but he just shrugged it off and kept moving back to his home. As the wedding ended, everything went according to the anime, but instead of Issei was Ash. And in this one, Issei knows how to cook because he's living alone. He's living alone with a girl. So technically, I am making Issei not be a perv, but since he hangs out with two they're gonna think he is. As Issei went back home, he said, "What a long day. What should I make?" As Issei was thinking, sushi. And yes, guys, Issei's food is 5 stars out of 5 stars, or I should say a 10 out of 10 stars, because Issei can cook in a 5-star restaurant, and everybody would want him to work in every restaurant in the world. As Issei finished cooking, he made the food, left it on the table, and waited for Asuya to come. She wasn't there. Issei waited a few hours later. Asuya wasn't there. Issei just ate his food and left a note saying, "If you're hungry, there's food on the refrigerator." Then Issei went to bed. As he got a dream from Drake talking to Issei, saying, "I'm leaving you for being weak. You're not worthy of my power." Drake left, making Issei wonder, why does this happen to me? Why is this happening to me all of a sudden? All I did was try to help her, but this is what I deserve, huh? Then suddenly, out of nowhere, a certain someone came. So the person that Issei was seeing was him. Technically, you from the Seraph of the End, the main character, him. He was seeing him in the same clothes, with the wings, the eyes, and everything. As he speaked up and said, "Do you wish for power? Do you want the power to show them that you are not weak? That you are the person who could end it or destroy it?" Then Issei was thinking about it as he was looking at the person from up to bottom and seeing the sword of soul that he saw on the person, the spear of soul that he saw on the person's hand, and the type of wings he had. As Issei said, "I agree. This person was the King of Salt." And this one, he's not gonna be named you because this is Seraph of the End side. You, so the King of Soul. Before you could die, he made a wish. He made a wish to. I'm gonna say that you died on the other world, but he made a wish to let his angel side go to his angel powers go to someone else, aka the King of Soul, go to someone else. So it technically came to Issei. Because you is a certain person to Issei. But I am not gonna say it until I'm not gonna say who's you. Who in the family of Issei is you, or is the other person, until part 2. Because I'm gonna add one more person that I created. As the King of Soul, just smile at this and say, "Good. Now, we're gonna start your training tomorrow. If you train enough, you can become stronger than all of those who have thought you are weak." As Issei just nodded at this and left his mindscape as he went to sleep, we skip to the next day. Asuya wasn't home. Issei made breakfast, left another note saying, "If you're hungry for breakfast again, just is there some in the refrigerator. Issei was wondering where was Asuya, as he got a text message from Asuya saying that she was gonna be moving with Ash. Then Issei was saddened a bit, but he said, it's her life. It's no point of me bothering her about it. As Issei just kept moving on, as he went to a certain forest. And this, Issei had 2 weeks off from school, but he decided to take a leave. Let's say that we're gonna do 2 months of training. Only training. Issei, the King of Soul told Issei to find a sword. And I'm gonna say that there's a certain shop that sells swords. So the sword that is right here on this handle, Issei will find it. As Issei was walking through the city, he was looking for a sword. As he found a shop named, let's just say a simple name, a sword shop. As he went inside, he was looking around the sword shop. Then he found a sword that looked familiar to the guy that was in his head last night. As the King of Souls picked up and said, buy that sword. It looks the same as mine in here. As Issei nodded at this, went and grabbed the sword and put it in the same form that the King of Soul had it in. As the King of Soul smiled at this and said, this kid is starting to become a copy of me. Then Issei just went up to the cash register and bought it. There was a certain person hanging around the cash register, just looking behind her as she saw Issei. Then she said, well, my job here is done. In this person, I will not be explaining who she is until part 2, because she is going to be a good part of this story towards Issei. The other person that I will be saying will be here will be Yuichi. I want him to be a good friend of Issei. As Issei felt somebody looking at him, as he looked and all he saw was light. As he went running towards that light and saw that there was nothing, but he just shrugged it off and kept moving on. As he went to a forest, Issei was training on mastering his swordsmanship. Since Issei had the King of Soul, he was able to master his swordsmanship in only 5 days and a half. As the King of Soul was proud of Issei for mastering his swordsmanship. Then the King of Soul told Issei to come to his consciousness, as Issei did as he said, and the King of Soul told him, now we're going to be doing a one-on-one battle, and it's going to go to the outside world. Then Issei and the King of Soul had a one-on-one battle. Issei couldn't handle the King of Soul powers because he was only using his bare sword. As the King of Soul beat Issei, leaving him wondering how weak I really am. As the King of Soul said, you're not weak, you're strong. You just don't have experience on using a sword yet. Now that you have been fighting me in here, you have enough experience to prove that you are worthy of everything in this world. As Issei smiled at this and said, thank you, Master. Yeah, Issei started to call the King of Soul Master instead, so because over this week the King of Soul has started to treat Issei like his own son, which, oh god, I really shouldn't have not said that. As Issei started to treat the King of Soul like a father. Then the King of Soul told Issei and said, since I'm inside of you, your hair was starting to turn black and a bit of gray is on the tip of your hair. So technically this guy on the bottom, this will be Issei. He'll have a bit of grayish hair and the rest will be black. His eyes will turn green and he'll have those dotted lines on his thing. So he'll technically look like this on the picture. Just he'll have a different haircut. As the King of Soul said to Issei to switch up a bit of his style. Then Issei said, I might as well just get a different hairstyle. Then Issei went to get his hairstyle. Now he looks like the picture right here in the corner. He looks like that. Then a few moments later, Issei got back to his training ground and started to train on his body. He was doing push-ups, sit-ups, layups, and jogging. As Issei was doing this each day, every day. He only did he did 20 push-ups in the beginning. So this was in a month. Issei was doing push-ups, 20 push-ups. In the second month, it was 30 push-ups. Then layups, he started to do 10. Then on the second month, it switched to 100. Jogs, he did instead of 10-kilometer runs and went to 30-kilometer runs. Since he had enough stamina to survive 30-kilometer runs, as the King of Seoul started to see Issei's improvement, as he was proud of Issei for improving this much. Then he told Issei we're gonna learn your first skill. Well, give me a second. I'm gonna see what skill I roll for Issei. I want him to learn first. Well, it's gonna be oh, sorry guys. If you guys like it this way, I'm just gonna leave it like this. So Issei is technically gonna learn. His first skill will be. It's not gonna be one of the King of Swords ability yet. I'm gonna make him learn one of you abilities from the Seraph of the End. So he's gonna first learn the power release, where he's able to release all his power in one slash, ending the person. As Issei got out of his mindscape and went towards the same forest where he was training. Then the King of Souls said, "So practice it on a tree." Then Issei started to engulf his sword with all of his power. As instead of being a greenish aura, it was a whitish, bluish, greenish aura, making it be darkish. So it was a dark aura around his blade, as the blade turned fully dark, black and red. As the King of Soul was surprised that it didn't turn green as is. Then the King of Soul said, "Try to hit it with 10% of your power." Then Issei just nodded at this, as he struck a tree with 10% of his power, making it cut down. As Issei and the King of Soul were surprised that one attack at 10% can shoot down a tree. Then the King of Soul said to try this on a bear, as Issei was looking for bears that were hungry for humans. In the forest where Issei was at, there was a lot of bears who were hungry for humans, as Issei didn't attack at 1% towards a bear, as he said, "Power release 1%. As he slashed the bear, leaving a scar on his chest, as the King of Souls said, "Power release has more power than me when I was in a human body." As then the King of Souls said, "Use maximum." As Issei said, "Are you sure?" Then the King of Souls said, "Do it." Then Issei just nodded and said, 100%. The sword turned red with black, and the darkish aura surrounded it, as Issei just struck it once at the bear, making at least 37 slashes appear on the bear, cutting it into tiny pieces for Issei to eat it or just leave it alone. Then Issei just said, "Might as well just eat it since I'm already here." As Issei just made a campfire and ate the bear. Over these 2 months, Issei was missing school. Everyone was started to wonder what happened to Issei, but not Rias and the other people. They were all focusing on Ash because of all the power Ash had, and he even joined his Rias, so he's technically a new member of Rias Parage. Over these 2 months, Rias, Akano, Konako, Asiya, and Kiba were starting to ignore Issei more and more. Even though he's not there, they started to forget about him. As suddenly one day, Akano remembered that Issei was missing, as he told Rias. Rias, this is in the third month. Issei was gonna come on the last week of the month. So he was just training on his body. As Rias got a message from Akano saying, Rias, do you know where is Issei Hyodo at? As Rias suddenly remembered, Issei Hyodo. Then she, wait, what happened to Issei? Then Kiba, Koneko, and Akano. But not Akano. Akano was like, Rias, I just told you, do you know where Issei Hyodo's at? As Rias suddenly just summoned herself in front of the school and started to search around. So this was early in the morning. As we come back to Issei, we're gonna leave Rias searching around for him. As we come back to Issei, over these 2 months learned to use more than 100% of his power. He was able to use 200% of his power, making him tired out or making him go unconscious. But once he masters the power, he'll be able to use it more than 200%. As Issei finally learned his swordsmanship as good as the King of Soul, or you. Then Issei decided to learn one more skill. This skill, I'm gonna call it... Give me a minute. No, that's for a different what if. So yeah, Issei learned Knot of Fate, where at least if he uses 100%, 10 swords will appear, or if he uses 1%, he can literally control as many swords as he wants, but if he uses 1%, there's gonna be... how many swords would I want it to be if he uses 1%? Yeah, it'll be 2 swords. That'll give enough damage to kill a high-ranking demon. Issei just pointed a rabbit and pointed his hand like a pistol. As he pointed at the rabbit, in one of the swords that was one of his techniques, killed the rabbit dead on. As Issei just snapped, and it disappeared. The sword disappeared. As Issei grabbed the rabbit and checked the body, and the rabbit wasn't moving. As Issei was smiling at this and said, "Good. Now let's train on using it at 200%. And 200%, Issei could literally just make the swords go into any shape. Circles, triangle, squares. But he mostly uses circles because when he makes it into circles, they're able to cut through anything. As Issei summoned 100%, he summoned at least 200 blades and made them into circles. As he started to throw them around, he threw one at a tree over there. He threw one at a tree on the other side, as the trees were cut down. But since Issei wasn't a person who liked to destroy trees, he just planted the other trees and made them wait for a longer year. For years, they had to wait for the trees to regrow. As Issei was sorry about this, but he needed something to train on. As Issei decided to use 200% on a rock, as he snapped 200%, at least 1,000 swords appear. He snapped 1,000 swords appear. He made them into a giant. He pointed all the swords and made them into an arrow, pointing at the rock. As he made his hand into a gun and shoot. As all the swords went straight to the rock and exploded that. Since this was far away into a forest, nobody could see the explosion, but they could sense someone was destroying stuff. But everyone just shrugged it off. Even the devils just shrugged it off too. Then Issei just sighed in relief, saying, "Oh God, thanks." Then the King of Souls speaked up and said, "You have a good mastery over 2 skills in your swordsmanship, and you have a good balance on your body." And guys, Issei has the same amount of muscle as Saitama. He has the same body as Saitama. So yeah, imagine Saitama in the body of this picture right over here. That picture, just this way in a Saitama body, like that. Then Issei not said thank you. So are you gonna be training me on a skill? On a new skill? As the King of Souls said, not just yet. You haven't gone through enough emotions to unlock a certain power that I want you to unlock, or even unlock this first trumpet. As Issei, over these 3 months, Issei have learned from the Soul King what is the first trumpet and how he will react when that trumpet appears in front of him. Then Issei said, "Okay," and the Soul King said, "It's time to go back to school. You have gained all my knowledge, so it's time to go back." And yes, I forgot to explain too. Over the second month, Issei and the Soul King have been studying a lot, because Issei wasn't in class anymore, so he needed to study. So when Issei went to school, everyone saw a tall, black hair, gray haired kid with green eyes come into class. Issei was literally just wearing the same jacket right here, the jacket that this character over here is wearing, that jacket, and was wearing just a regular black pants with black sneakers, and carrying the sword. The same way this picture right here is carrying that, the same way this sword is right here, Issei was carrying it like that. Then everyone saw a kid come into class. As the teacher said, I didn't know we were having a new student. One of the students said to the teacher. Then the teacher said, "Me either," as the kid that came into class didn't speak. He just went in his seat. As everyone saw that he was sitting on Issei's seat. As Issei's two old friends who have texted them and said that they're no longer friends over the first month, they came up to him and said, "Hey, kid. Hey, you. Who are you?" Then Issei just looked at them and gave them a death glare, saying, the glare literally just made them pee their pants. I'm gonna do a quick pause. Then Issei just glared at them angrily, but they just decided to not bother this kid. As Issei, then Issei was glad that nobody was bothering him. But suddenly someone came up to him and started to speak. It was no other than Ria's Gramarye and her Parage. As Rias came up to Issei and said, "Hey, what are you doing in Issei Hyodo's chair?" Then Issei said, I am you, Hyodo." Then Ria said, You're Issei's cousin or brother?" As he started to laugh and said, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. "So, have you seen my cousin Issei?" As Issei was laughing in his head with the Soul King, saying, "Oh God, if they fall for this trick, they're worse than me." Then Akano caught on to the trick, saying, You're not you, Hyodo. You're Issei Hyodo, right?" As Issei looked at Kaneko and Akano and said, "Good. At least someone here is paying attention to their surroundings. But still, good that you know, but I do not care if you know who I am." Then Ria speaked up and said, "Issei, what happened to you?" As Issei said, "Look at me. I changed. Now that the Red Dragon Emperor have left me, what's the point of me staying to be the same old Issei Hyodo? I like the new me. It's much suitable for this power that I have now." Then suddenly, since this was after school, Drake speaked up and said, What new power? As Issei just said, "Oh, hello, Drake. How's your new partner?" "Oh, hi there, Ash." As Ash was surprised that Issei remembered them, as Ash said, "I am more better at you than at being the Red Dragon Emperor." Then Issei said, was I talking about me being a good Red Dragon Emperor? I really don't care if I'm not a Red Dragon Emperor anymore. I am more than a Red Dragon Emperor. I am a Seraph." Then everyone heard, "A Seraph? What do you mean?" "You'll sooner or later will know who I am." But before Issei could say that, Kiba speaked up and Ash said, "Why are you carrying a sword with you?" Then Issei said to them both, "Because this was a gift from an old friend who has told me that I could become powerful just with a sword and the power that relies inside of me. Because since that dragon is no longer with me, but my true power has been unlocked." As Drake started to remember of something really powerful hidden within Issei. As Drake started to say, "Don't tell me that thing came out." Then Issei said, "Bingo! So you were keeping attention, Drake." As Drake just told Ash to be careful around him. He might be a danger to you. Then Ash told Rias to come here as he whispered inside of her ear something that Drake told them. As Rias was surprised to hear that Issei might be a danger to the demon race. Then, a few moments later, Rias said, "So Issei, you still haven't told us why do you carry a sword?" But then Kiba and Ash decided to say, "Give us the sword. We are much better wielders than you." Then Issei got angry and released 10%, no, not 10%, 1% of his bloodlust, which is 3 times as stronger, more stronger than Sir Sex himself. So if he goes 2%, it'll be quadruple. Let's just say it'll be quadruple times as strong. So the 1% was enough to make Ash and Kiba pee their pants. Then Kiba speaked up and said, "You think that will scare me?" Then Issei looked down and said, "It was enough to make you pee. How is it not gonna scare you?" Then Kiba was about to grab Issei's sword, but then Issei disappeared in a blinding speed, showing the blade of his sword turned dark red. As before Kiba could grab him, he disappeared, only leaving an aftershadow that only showed anger. Before they could blink, they saw Issei was behind their back. Then Kiba and Ash saw a scar on their face. As they touched it and saw that it was bleeding, then they said, "Wait, how did you do that?" Then Issei said, "Didn't you unlock your first form of your ability of your sword birth, Kiba?" Then Kiba got surprised and said, "So you have sword birth too?" Then he said, "No, I don't, but remember, I am something more powerful than a dragon and a sword birth or a demon combined. But I am one that is even stronger than an angel himself. But I still haven't managed to reach my full capabilities. I will see you guys later." When Rias was about to touch Issei, he disappeared, not wanting to talk to them anymore. As Kiba and Ash were angry that Issei would dare to leave a scar on their face. But Kiba and Ash were healed by Asuya, who was mad at Issei for cutting Ash, because in this one, Asuya is technically a bitch, or you could say a girl who doesn't, who gives, who would give two craps of who dies. In this one, she still wants to pray to God, but in this one, she gives two craps before she chooses who. But since she doesn't like Issei in this one anymore, she decided to move with Ash. Yeah, I said already, but still. In this one, she gives two craps, so I feel bad for those who like Asuya. I'm really sorry, but I had to do it for in this one. Then Asuya told Rias, what should we do about him? He said he hasn't reached his full capabilities yet. Then Rias said, then we have to train harder. He is still weak. Then they started to ignore Issei again. And over these past few weeks, Issei have reached at least 20% of the angel form. But if he tries to go even higher than that, he'll go berserk, which only makes his eyes black, and he is only able to make things into salt. So when he touches something and just touches it and he just pulls his energy into it, it turns into salt. But still, he's not in the form where he can go where he actually has to go berserk to learn his ability. So yeah, guys, I'll be leaving it off right here. I'll be leaving it in the part where Issei learned his 25%. Tomorrow I'll be doing part 2 of this. This is gonna be my 300 subscriber special. Thank you guys for helping me get 300 subscribers. Hope you enjoy this what if. Bye. And sorry that it's very late.